Hello, and welcome to the Thyroid Warrior podcast. I'm Ebony, and I'm here as your wellness facilitator. I'm going to be sharing my experiences in managing Hashimoto's disease. I really hope that it'll help you on your personal journey. Keep in mind, however, this does not substitute for medical advice. It is only for your information and motivational purposes only. Now, let's get started.
Hello, friends. First things first is welcome. This is going to be a very fun and exciting episode because I absolutely love talking about this particular topic, but I also want to share some fun and exciting news. In case you missed the last episode, I am now a level 1 certified aromatherapist. And I really wanted to be able to give you all a full body approach to wellness. So for me, that means not only helping you with thyroid specific information, but I also want to teach you how to nurture your body from food, fitness, and movement, but also to be able to incorporate aromatherapy or holistic approaches to your care, your health, and your wellness. So for me, it was very important to make sure that I could be that one-stop shop for you. So you didn't have to go to 15 different people in order to find one source of information or a particular topic. So with that, I am very excited to be announcing a lot of things coming from aromatherapy classes to more nutrition-based classes, as well as different opportunities and ways for us to really mix and mingle as far as it relates to sharing our own personal health stories. So I definitely want you to be on the lookout for that. But what's really exciting for me is being able to incorporate the aromatherapy practice that I have and am developing in my handmade body shop, which I literally just connected the domain to it. So you can now go to Soula Beauty Co. That is SOULA beautyco.com, or you can always go to joyfulebony.com/handmade to be able to visit the shop. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very excited to be able to nurture you in that way. So definitely head on over to that and let me know if you have any questions, because it's going to be good. And I already have an entire list of things that I'm going to be adding between now and the holiday season to help you kind of prepare. So with that, I'm very excited about today's topic, and we're continuing the discussion about Fiber Fuel, the book. And I alluded to this, but it really is a challenge in some cases to be able to get the amount of nutrients that we all need. And so many of us are fiber starved that it's not even funny. And I started the process of trying to pay a lot more attention to my fiber intake because it just seemed interesting to me that for the most part we're supposed to get 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day from food, not including supplements. But for us, under the standard American diet, which by the way, the acronym spells out SAD, which really does do that for me, but we get about 15 grams of fiber a day, which is horrible. And no wonder why we're all walking around puffy and inflamed and our stomachs hurt and we can't concentrate and we can't focus, because so many of those feel-good hormones are actually produced in our digestive systems or our gut. And I said before, it's one of our largest endocrine organs. So it makes sense as to why so many of us also have that brain fog. But today, let's get into the specifics of really talking about some aspects of plants and why we need them in our diets. So one thing that I loved about reading this book is just understanding how to maximize or increase your plant intake. And I always tell you all, you don't have to start out the gate saying, all right, I'm throwing everything away in my pantry. I'm not buying this. I'm not doing this anymore. Like for me, it really was a gradual process to start incorporating more plants. And now, today, I'm eating way more fruits and vegetables than I think I ever have. And I know it may sound strange when I say I'm primarily plant based, but I'm slowly starting to get closer and closer to just being more plant based because even when I started incorporating like chicken or uh, fish or different things like that into my diet, I did notice that I started to feel more sluggish and tired. So what I will say as a result of going through this practice is to listen to your body. And if when you start the process of going back to those old things, your body will tell you very quickly, like, nah, I'm not doing that. No, thank you. So definitely pay attention to that. And once you start the process of adding more plants to your diet, you're also going to end up addressing the dysbiosis or that imbalance that many of us have in our microbiome in our gut. So let's talk about a few examples of understanding why plants are so great. And first off, each, let's say, apple or white potato or anything like that, each of those items has its own microbiome or diversity within its intracellular or cellular system. So I I have a very interesting story about flax seeds, but I will keep that to myself for right now because it's very embarrassing. No, I'm not going to keep it to myself because you're my friends and you get me. So, when I met my ex husband, I met his mother and we had breakfast. I didn't understand how quickly flaxseed would work for me until breakfast with her. And it was a wonderful time. We were chatting it up, we were talking, we were laughing, and then all of a sudden I got hot. I started to sweat and my stomach went crazy. And this was really the first time that I had flaxseed, and I didn't know how sensitive my body to was 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 to flaxseed. I had no idea. And all of a sudden, I was like, I am so sorry. I just need to excuse myself for a minute. But I was just in the bathroom. I was like, oh my God, this cannot be life. The first time I'm meeting this woman, I am blowing up her bathroom. Lord help me. It was so embarrassing. And I'm trying really hard not to look through the cabinets because I don't want her to think that I'm going through her stuff, but I'm really trying to find air freshener. I'm trying to like dump and flood. It was bad, guys. Like it was bad, okay? It was bad. That is not the way that you want to meet someone's mother. It is not. I did, however, tell her years later what actually happened that day. And in months after, I really and truly had to be very honest with her about how my body responded to flaxseed. And she was like, wow, you're really sensitive. It normally takes me days to go to the bathroom. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't have that same experience. Sorry. But here's why flaxseed is so interesting and cool all at the same time, which also explains why I eat it a lot more now and my body's a lot more used to it, and I do have much better bowel movements when I do incorporate flaxseed. But they have between, I would say, 20 to 40% of soluble prebiotic fiber, And obviously, it's that mucus in it that just makes everything wonderful. But it also just encourages the microbes in your digestive system to pretty much wake up. So it's really and truly a cool thing to understand from a scientific perspective why flaxseed is so good for us. But also, even when you think about, let's say, white potatoes, and they're pretty darn good with having fiber in terms of fiber resistant starch. And a lot of us say that or have learned that starch isn't necessarily a good thing for you, but that's not really true. Like, of course, if we have French fries or really buttery mashed potatoes and all those things, when we're adding things or we're introducing trans fat, that's when it takes away from those really good benefits for us. And I've always loved seaweed. So that's also something that I enjoy incorporating. But I really want to highlight the word phyto. And if you've ever heard phytonutrient, phytochemical, any of those things, always know that that's talking about a plant. Even if it's an extract, or if you turn your package over and you're looking at the label and you're looking at ingredients, which we'll be talking about how to read labels in a later episode. But know that you will only find phytonutrients in plant sources. And I think an article that I was actually reading not too long ago said that there were between like 7 to 8,000 versions of phytochemicals, and that's not even accounting for things that we're not even sure about. So there's so much to learn in terms of fiber, because I wouldn't say it's a new thing that scientists and doctors are studying, but instead of thinking about those typical drinks that you just put the powder in and they're gross, because even though they're supposed to turn clear when you stir them and stuff, they don't always do it. Or at least that's my experience. Maybe I'm adding too much, but it's just a really great thing. And I also just want to just tell you why some of the benefits, I would say, of eating more plants, and that means fruits and vegetables, just about the color. So this is where we're going to get to the actual quote unquote taste the rainbow aspect of things. But let's talk about, let's say, tomatoes. And we all know about lycopene, but knowing that some of the benefits of our red fruits and vegetables is they're great in terms of having antioxidant properties that also prevent cancer. Or when you think about anything that has like a yellow or orange variation to it, and think about like your oranges, for example, and they're your flavonoids. So that is also going to protect against heart disease. I know that's something that definitely runs in my family, so I'm always trying to like sneak in oranges and orange peppers and yellow peppers with my mom and at least cook them. I cook them because she is she comes from the South, and that's what I grew up on, eating Southern food and Southern cooking. And there weren't a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables in terms of what is cooked in that cuisine. There are, but my mom has always really overcooked everything. Don't tell her I said that, okay? But now she's learning, about al dente, or how to really just cook vegetables to the point where they're cooked, of course, but they also have that crunch to them. And that's a very delicate balance for someone that is really getting back into learning how to cook different types of food. So that's if that's something that I can lend to her and teach her in terms of showing her these things, I'm definitely all for it. But let's talk about one of my favorite colors, and that's blue. And I love blueberries, I love blackberries. and they have anthocyanin in them. So those are going to be good again at having those antioxidant properties, but also protecting against cancer and protecting our memory. And purple, grapes, plums. I love the summertime when it comes to these things. And I don't know if you've heard about resveratrol, but that's also a compound that lowers cholesterol and it also protects against blood clots. So I have tried the challenge that he has in his book about figuring out how many types of just different colors and different fiber sources can you get on your plate in a day. And I'm very competitive. I will not lie about that. I am. And there are times where I've gotten like 25 to 30 things in a day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. But as a result of doing that, I took MyFitnessPal, for example, and I wanted to also look and see how many grams of fiber I was actually starting to incorporate. And I noticed, which is another reason that made it very easy for me to make that transition to eating more plants, was that I was getting a lot more fiber. I had a lot more energy. And I don't recall at the moment how much I actually talked to you about when I got LASIK surgery, but that healing process was smooth. And I increased my vitamin C intake. I was eating a ton of orange things, red things, green things. I was tearing it up in terms of the diversity of plants that I was consuming because I did my research. I was trying to figure out what foods I could take that would help me in healing. So it's definitely been a journey, but I have more energy. And even in the last week or so, when I started just kind of falling off and not doing the things that I was supposed to do, which is partially how I ended up getting a mild UTI as well. I'll talk more about that in another episode. But I can definitely tell the difference. And even today, as I'm starting that process of just taking care of myself in that way and nurturing myself to prevent the UTI from getting worse, I've been doing a lot of vitamin C. I literally just made a tea with kava root, orange, ginger, turmeric, cranberries, and elderberries, and I also threw in some garlic because that also has some antimicrobial properties to it as well. It was delicious. And I took my extra vitamin C, and I know that I'm probably going to have a hard time falling asleep because this is really how I sustain my energy and how I'm able to do so much and how I work long days and long hours at work and can still get in a work in because you can start to feel the difference. And when you're also drinking a lot of water, that also just aids in your body just flushing itself. And the last thing that I want to say about this is what I also recognize is how much better my skin looks as a result of eating more fruits and vegetables and even using more vegetable oils on my skin. And I will definitely give you all the details in an entire lesson just on skincare and being more focused on how to make sure or the why behind why plants are so good for us. But when I use an olive oil based cleanser for my face, that I it's literally I did a lavender infused olive oil and I clean my skin with that, and I wipe my skin with a warm towel, and then I have my facial oil that I made with jojoba, and I have carrot seed oil in it as well as frankincense and lavender, And let's just say I probably should make another facial oil without the lavender in it because lavender really and truly soothes me. But all of these things are powered by plants. And we're connected to them. Our bodies respond to plants. And once you begin to realize that powerful connection, that's when the magic happens. That's when your body starts to respond and goes, whoa, wait a minute, I like this. So it becomes easier for you to incorporate more and more in terms of moving to those natural products or those natural beauty items, or even incorporating more organic produce, because a lot of people say, well, you can't really tell the difference. But because I've been doing this for so long, for me, I can. So your taste buds change, your sense of smell changes, and that's why I'm so incredibly amped about this Taste the Rainbow challenge. So here's what I'm going to have you do this week. I want you to start paying attention to what you're putting on your plate. Can you get the Roy G. Biv? That's the red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, and violet in terms of plant diversity in those colors. And I have been playing this game for quite some time. It is very rewarding. And I want you to be able to do the same and get your family involved, get your children involved. They love that. They absolutely love it. I did this with my nephew and even with my goddaughter. And now that she's starting to eat solid foods, just putting different things on her plate and watching her little face light up. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So that is your takeaway for this week. Find a way to incorporate more plant diversity in the form of tasting the rainbow. And don't forget, check out Sula Beauty Co. or joyfulebony.com/handmade to check out my handmade body products shop. And with that, be happy, be whole, and be well. Take care.
Okay, Thyroid Warriors, get out there and take things one step at a time. Remember, be great, reflect on your triumphs, and as always, be well. Take care.